Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I have a good one for you, because today's video we are looking at the new Brooks Ghost Max, and this is the Ghost Max 3. Now I thought the original Ghost Max, so 2 years ago, was a great improvement on the Ghost. I didn't get to run in the Ghost Max 2, but that's okay, because apparently there were some growing pains. People didn't seem to like the Ghost Max 2 as much as they liked the original Ghost Max. But now we have the Ghost Max 3, and some changes have been made, and I think you guys are going to like this. And before we get started, my only sticking point is the amount of competition for this shoe, even from within Brooks. So let's get into it. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that Brooks was good enough to send me this pair of the Ghost Max 3 for the purpose of review. However, they haven't told me what to say, they don't have any editorial privileges, and all the thoughts and opinions are my own. With that said, you're going to be able to pick up a pair of the Ghost Max 3 for $150. And of course, I'll place a link in the show notes below in case you want to pick up a pair for yourself. So here it is. The Ghost Max 3. And of course it is based off of Brooks' most popular running shoe. You know, perhaps it's the most popular running shoe of all time. And by that I mean the regular Ghost. So right now we're up to the Ghost 17. But of course, as the name suggests, this is the Max version. And it's Max in some ways, but not in other ways. But of course for me, when I hear Max in a shoe, I automatically think of max stack height. And the Brooks Ghost Max 3 does come in at 39 in the heel, 33 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. Now, when I think of max stack height, I also think of being over 40mm. So the Ghost Max 3 with its 39mm is really only max when we compare it to the regular Ghost. So now we're up to the Ghost 17. And in reality, the Ghost Max 3 has only 2.5 more millimeters of stack height in the heel than the Ghost 17. Of course, it has 6.5 more millimeters in the forefoot, but that's due to the drop. The Ghost Max 3 is a 6mm drop, which I think makes it a great option for a lot of runners out there. Now, if you remember my review of the Ghost 17, this year Brooks was able to drop the drop from 12mm last year down to 10mm. So there is still a 4mm difference in drop between the Ghost 17 and the new Ghost Max 3. Now, all that maxness does come at a cost, and that cost is not money because the Ghost Max 3 is actually the same price as the Ghost 17, but the cost does come in weight. And Brooks claims that in a US men's size 9, the Ghost Max 3 will tip the scale at 10.8 ounces or 306 grams, but in my size, a US men's size 13, Ghost Max 3 will tip the scale at 13.2 ounces or 374 grams. And at least in my size, the Ghost 17 weighs 29 grams less than the Ghost Max 3. Now, that is really just sensationalism because the two shoes do ride quite differently, and of course there is going to be a big difference between a 6mm drop and a 10mm drop. But even saying that, and even knowing that, I do question the similarities, or no, I question the differences, because remember, they're both the same price. And if the Brooks Ghost 17 is that much lighter, well, then I guess people that are focusing on weight are going to go with the Brooks Ghost 17. And if you are focused on other things, like you want the lower drop, you want that slightly bigger stack height, then you'll be going with the Ghost Max 3. And of course, well, this is subjective, but if we are going on aesthetics, I really like how the Ghost Max 3 looks. I think Brooks did well with this one. But we're going to dig into a little more of the competition. We're not just going to pit a Ghost against a Ghost. We'll do that a little later in the video, but let's start at the top and work our way down. And you can see how much padding is there. This is another reason that the Ghost Max 3 is max, because it has max heel collar padding. This shoe is plush, and it feels plush when you put your foot in. It just feels comfortable. That whole shoe wraps around your ankle. And when I put my foot into the Ghost Max 3, it makes me realize why the Ghost Max is so popular, because this shoe is built for comfort. It really is a very plush step-in feel. Now, of course, that does have something to do with this insert. This insert is really quite thick, and it is removable. So if you needed to put in your own insert, you can certainly just take this out and replace it with the one that Brooks gives you. But just saying, this thing is pretty thick. It is contributing to that nice soft step-in feel. The heel counter is, as we would expect in a shoe like this, it is solid as a rock. Now, if you don't like a really stiff heel counter, you're probably going to stay away from this and most daily trainers. But I think most of us, we really like this solid heel counter because it does contribute to a nice heel lock. And with all that padding around there, the shoe is really holding me in place when my foot's in. Now, there is really a lot of structure back here. I mean, you can feel it when I press on it, when I knock on it. And we also have these overlays here on the back, which are adding even more structure. Like the back of this shoe is just built like a tank. Now for the upper, the Ghost Max 3 is using, it's a very smooth and good looking jacquard mesh. It looks like it's going to be very breathable because we do have lots of laser drilled holes, at least here in the toe box, a few here on the medial side. Yeah, there's some on the lateral side too. But when I stick my hand in and I touch this so I can actually get a good manipulation on the upper, it is feeling quite thick, which of course has both its pluses and its minuses. It might be a little warm in the summer, but on the upside, it's going to be very durable, which I think a lot of people that are buying the Ghost are really going to appreciate. Because if you're using this to run, yeah, this is a max cushion daily trainer. You're going to take it out. You're going to take it out for those long runs, those easy runs, those recovery runs. And then when you're done running in it, you're going to roll this over into its next life. Like maybe they'll be fashion shoes. I don't know about this colorway because I don't know how well you can see it, but my pair is already getting quite dirty. When they're clean, I think they look really fresh. So you could definitely roll this over into fashion. Or if you just like to have one pair of shoes and use them for everything, go for a run, go out to the shops, then the Ghost Max 3 is definitely going to be a good option for that. As far as overlays go, Brooks is both giving us a lot and yet a very minimalist appearance. Like, again, I think this is just a very clean look. Now we do have the big Brooks logo here on the lateral side. On the medial side, we've gone with a nice embroidered, just simple Brooks, which I really like. We've got a nice underlay coming around the toe box, which is actually quite steep at the front. Can you see this? It just comes right up, rather than some other shoes that kind of taper back a little more. This actually gives my foot a good feeling of space in the toe box. Now, while we're talking about the toe box, let's just talk about sizing. The Ghost Max 3 does fit me true to size. I wear a US men's size 13 in all Brooks, but it does strike me and does feel like a very high volume shoe. And by saying that, I guess I'm saying that people with wider feet than me are really going to appreciate the Ghost Max 3 and all the room it gives them. I found I had plenty of room in the toe box, without swimming around in there. I did get a good lockdown. Just felt like if I had bigger feet or higher volume foot, my foot would still fit in the Ghost Max 3. Now, even though the Ghost Max 3 is sporting that minimalist look, we still have these overlays on the back that I mentioned before. I think they're well incorporated into the design, but that is definitely adding some weight. And then, of course, the eyelet chain. Now, it's actually quite minimal here on the first 4 eyelets, just some embroidered reinforcement around each of the holes. And then we have this plastic overlay on the top 3. Oh, if you did get heel slip in the shoe, I know I've talked about the stiff heel counter and lots of padding coming around the heel collar, but if you still had heel slip in the Ghost Max 3, then we do have this extra hole right here, and that's really going to give you a good heel lock. Moving over to the tongue, the Ghost Max 3 has a max cushion tongue. It is quite thick, it is very plush. Just like the rest of the upper, I think the tongue is going to be quite warm, but I am also loving this design. You can see it says Ghost Max 3 kind of stamped into the front of the tongue. It looks really nice. Now, the tongue is not gusseted, and it looks like there is no lace loop on the front, but actually what Brooks has done is we have 2 little loops on each side of the tongue, and that's just keeping the tongue right in place. So when you do lock down the laces, when you tie them and your foot's all in, these 2 little lace loops are really going to keep the tongue in place. I didn't have any issues with the tongue moving around, so this simple design really seems to work. Okay, moving down to the midsole. Now, Brooks is using their DNA Loft V3, and I am a big fan of this midsole. I just think it really works well. It's the same midsole that Brooks is using in their Ghost 17. We just have more of it in the Max 3. And as far as the midsole goes, I've got no complaints with it. I think it hits a nice sweet spot with firmness, as in it's not too firm, it's not too soft. Something I really don't like about daily trainers is when they just get so plush and the midsole is so soft that it feels like you're just sinking into it. It's sapping your energy. That's not the feeling I get from the DNA Loft V3 in the Ghost Max 3 or the Ghost 17. It works well for what it is. The Ghost Max 3 is using Brooks's Glide Roll Rocker technology, which if I hold that up, you can see we've got a nice heel bevel right here. We have an early forefoot rocker. And the shoe actually flows very well underfoot. I probably shouldn't sound so surprised, but it really does run very smooth, which in my size, at a shoe that weighs in at 374 grams, yeah, you would be forgiven to thinking that it would feel a little clunky. It doesn't feel clunky at all. It is a very smooth ride. And if we come down to the outsole, now this is what I love. There is so much outsole rubber on here that you are not going to get through this for a long time. Ghost Max 3 is going to be durable. If you want to hold on to it for, I don't know, I'm guessing 500-600 miles, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if you could hold on to this shoe for that long. And as far as the grip goes, I didn't experience any issues with it. It gripped just as well as I would expect, so no complaints there. So as far as the ride goes, well, I've already kind of given it away because I've told you what a smooth ride it is. It's not too firm, it's not too soft, it's definitely not clunky. But with that said, I would still only use the Ghost Max 3 for easy runs, recovery runs. I may take them out on my long runs. They're definitely going to be protective enough for my long runs. Just sometimes when I go out for a long run, I do want something a little lighter on my foot, but that's just me. The shoe will definitely stand up to running long. And as far as running a little faster, Yeah, look, if this was your only pair of shoes, you can definitely pick up the pace in it. Are there better options out there? You better believe it. Brooks makes a ton of very fast running shoes, but the Ghost Max 3 is a Cadillac. It just wants you to sit in it and enjoy the ride. And it does provide a very comfortable ride. Now look, you guys are spoiled for choice. If you are in the market and you're looking for a max cushion daily trainer, there seem to be more options than we can count. But we're going to go through a couple of the competitors. So we're going to start off with Brooks itself. And yes, the call is coming from inside the house. The Ghost 17 is a legit competitor to the Ghost Max 3. And the Ghost 17 has 36.5 in the heel, 26.5 in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. So 10mm drop, 6mm drop, both cost $150. And the Ghost 17 is 27 grams lighter than the Ghost Max 3. Next up, we have the Nike Vomero 18. Now, the Vomero 18 is also going to cost $150, the same price as the Ghost Max 3. And like the Ghost 17, the Vomero 18 also has a 10mm drop, except we have a little more stack. We have 46 in the heel, 36 in the forefoot, and in my size, the Vomero 18 weighs in at 384 grams. So the Vomero weighs 10 grams more than the Ghost Max 3. Next up, I think we also have to look at the Hoka Clifton 10. Now, the Hoka Clifton 10 also costs $150, so the same price. Clifton 10 has 42 in the heel, 34 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop, so 8, 6. And in my size, tips the scale at 333 grams. So in my size, the Clifton 10 weighs 41 grams less than the Ghost Max 3. And finally, sticking in that $150 price range, I think we also have to look at the Mizuno Neo Zen. Now look, the Mizuno Neo Zen is a completely different shoe from the Ghost Max 3, but they both cost $150. The Neo Zen has 40 in the heel, 34 in the forefoot, so both have a 6mm drop. And in my size, the Neo Zen tips the scale at 293 grams. So it weighs 81 grams less than the Ghost Max 3. I know, that is also kind of sensational, but you really have to decide what you are using these shoes for, because these two shoes have two different uses. And with the Neo Zen being so much lighter and with a knit upper, I don't think the Neo Zen is going to have as long a life, or it's not going to have a second and a third life outside its running life. When you buy a pair of the Ghost Max 3, or any Ghost for that matter, you are potentially buying a shoe that you're going to have for a long time. And even though it weighs a little more, there is something to be said for that insane comfort that you get when you put your foot into the Ghost Max 3. So guys, now I want to hear from you. What is your favorite thing about the Ghost Max 3? Do you think it is too close to the Ghost 17? I know that those of you that really love a lower drop are going to say, nope, give me that 6mm drop. But what about that weight difference? Does that skew your opinion? Drop a comment and let me know. For now, it's Matt B. This has been my review of the new Brooks Ghost Max 3. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.